Daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app and Amazon Alexa. Plus, hear a best of Clinton sports broadcast Saturday mornings at 10, all brought to you by Warner Hospital and Health Services, Vaughn Chevrolet Buick, Love It Once More Thrift Store, and Mid-State Eye.
Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, police blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more is DeWittDailyNews.com. Since 2008, DeWittDailyNews.com has delivered fresh, online content to internet readers. From the City Council, to School Board, to the County Board, and more, DeWittDailyNews.com covers the local news you expect from the area's #1 local news source, and it's all absolutely free. Now you have even more ways to access DeWittDailyNews.com. Whether you're at your desktop, laptop, tablet, iPhone, or smartphone, DeWittDailyNews.com is delivered to all those platforms. That's right. It's even there on your iPhone and smartphone. The same local news, weather, and sports that's on the full-size edition is on your iPhone and smartphone just by going to DeWittDailyNews.com. If you haven't tried it, why don't you go to Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, police blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more on your desktop, laptop, iPhone, or smartphone, DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time, 10 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast. Brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. After a brief freeze in central Illinois, it's going to be followed by some unseasonably warm weather as we get ready for Christmas. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates the cold weather of Monday and Tuesday will be followed by a warm-up and is just an example of the types of ebbs and flows in weather we'll experience in this winter of El Nino.
Well, El Nino is in effect, and that's kind of shifting the balance toward a warmer than normal winter based on the jet stream flows, and that's certainly, affecting our December more than likely. So we're just going to have to ride this out. Winter's going to come. There's always an ebb and a flow, and we're definitely getting the ebb of warm air as El Nino, influences the early part of the winter, but chances are, we're going to see several snowstorms as we head through the latter part of the winter. You're not going to see a warmer than normal all 3 months of the winter. That would be, highly unusual. I don't remember the last time that would have happened. I can actually probably go look that up. It's definitely going to end the year on a warm note, and the jet stream is going to, there's always an oscillation of warm and cold air across the globe, and we're just in the ebb of warm air right now. So stand by. Mother Nature's got plenty of things up her sleeve, so winter will come. Basically, it just looks like there's going to be a more frequent or shorter stints of colder air is usually what happens during an El Nino winter, if it has its main influence. So you'll get cold snaps, but 1 or 2 days where you're like, whoa, it is winter. And then you're like, uh-oh, yeah, here we go back in the 50s again, so.
According to Shimon, as we get to the Christmas weekend, things are going to be well above average for temperatures and will stay that way until we get into next week. Additionally, we'll see some rain at points throughout the weekend.
We're just seeing, we had a high-pressure system come through earlier this week, and then behind that was southerly winds. And we're just going to see an extended period of consistent southerly winds. We saw that through the week and all the way through Christmas and beyond Christmas. So finally, there's going to be some colder air coming in. There's a cool high pressure dropping down. So the middle of the week after Christmas, more than likely is going to start to see that cold air shift in, and then as we head into January 1st, might be right around normal. And we're not seeing like intense cold or anything, but certainly back down towards normal as we head into the weekend of heading into January 1st. Yeah, we're going to be well above normal. Temperatures are going to be in the 50s through Christmas Eve, even Christmas Day, 54, mid-50s for highs on Christmas Day, which is, 15 degrees above normal, or almost 20 degrees above normal, actually. So we're definitely, we're normally in the mid-30s toward Christmas time, mid to upper 30s, and, being in the low 50s is highly unusual. But there'll be rain chances around, unfortunately. If it would be snow, it'd actually be a really pretty morning. But, chances of rain are going to be around Christmas Eve day, Christmas Eve night, and then Christmas Day. We have likely rain chances in there, 60 to 70% chances on Christmas Eve night. And, so it's just going to be a wet, kind of a soggy Christmas Day this year, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be rain continuously. There are going to be periods without rain, but the clouds are going to dominate the sky with a 54-degree high there and southerly winds. Well, yeah, Christmas Eve night, 47 for a low. It's going to be noticeably mild during that time, and that might sometimes trigger some fog. So, holiday travelers, hopefully they're done by Christmas Eve day. But those early mornings when we have that warm of a low, it's usually right around the dew point, and you can get foggy, hazardous travel conditions in those conditions. Even Saturday night heading into Christmas Eve, 43 for a low under. So it's just something people might want to keep in mind that you may encounter some foggy conditions if you're in the lower lying areas across the area.
We'll hear more from Shimon in the days ahead about the trends of December and how much the rain from this past weekend has helped ease drought conditions in Illinois. Everyone finds themselves in a different place emotionally and mentally through the holidays. Some are thriving in the high of the holiday season and the glow of Christmas lights and the happiness this season brings, while others may be dealing with loss or stress triggers or a variety of issues holding them back from experiencing the thrills of Christmas. No matter where you find yourself, Tony Kirkman, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center on the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, told Regional Radio, put the phones and devices away this holiday season.
Very quickly, I think our approach is that for those that are enjoying the sweet time of life and it's good, is I would say put the phones down, put the screens down, and practice mindfulness. Just taking in an inventory, because I'm a dad of teenagers, and I will tell younger families that the time goes by very fast, and so your kids will never be this age again, and the windows get smaller and smaller, and other opportunities for their attention and yours continue to compete. So take in the moment, be mindful of it, invest your full attention and your heart into the moment, because it will sadly be gone before you know it. So that would be for joy. I think for sadness is, again, losing my father, is I understand that if I don't address that loss or that mourning, it could creep into my opportunities for joy. And so as strange as it sounds, I schedule a time about a week before to grieve and to acknowledge the loss, to hopefully put it in its proper context, to remember fondly of the good memories, and make commitments to how I can live a life that's honoring and appreciated, by my lost ones. I would say the same thing for people who have lost, moms, dads, uncles, brothers, sisters, best friends. It's important to acknowledge the loss, but it's also important to live a life of meaning. And so I think if you had people that you've lost that truly love you, they would want you to continue to live a life that's full. And so how do you live a life that is honorable or respectful of their desires for you?
Kirkman encourages, if you are not a fan of conflict over things like politics, religion, or sports, find common ground in other ways, like talking about family happenings and other blessings we're experiencing.
And then finally, for family members where you're going to see conflict is, I have come up with some pre-diversion techniques of, all right, if we're going to start talking about Republicans or Democrats, how's the weather? How's the Bears? I think coming up with those diversion things, it shouldn't be about, what we're fans of or our political leanings. I mean, this is a time where we're supposed to invest into each other and be thankful that God has brought these people into our lives. So tell me about your kids. Tell me about what your plans are for next year. What's something that you're really proud of that you did this last year? Switch the conversation on things that bind us rather than things that divide us. I don't know why we have continued the false narrative that life is competition when it comes to achievements or being happy. I'm not really a big fan of, your 15,000 different Facebook posts, #blessed Christmas. Put your phone down and actually talk to the people that you're calling a blessing. Research has even shown that people have a harder time remembering events if they're taking photos of them, rather experiencing them. And so, if you're too busy trying to put the Snapchat filter on so that it looks like it's snowing in your living room, maybe you should actually give your full attention to the people that you're telling the rest of Facebook that's important to you.
Kirkman offers the question, if you're taking lots of pictures for the holidays, are you taking them for yourself or are you taking them to showcase to others? The holidays are a time when domestic violence victims are most at risk, as there is annually a spike in domestic issues. That is why Andrea Coker, Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County, is reminding victims to have a plan in place this time of the year.
Like you said, Seth, it can be a really difficult time of year because stress levels do run higher. Life is a little bit more difficult. There's also kind of an expectation of what this season of life is going to look like, and when that doesn't happen, all parties involved can just not react well. So for us as domestic violence professionals, we try to have people prepared for just in case the holidays spark some behaviors that a person needs to get out of because they just aren't safe. We're not naive to think that this will be the time that somebody needs to get out for the last time, but somebody may need to be able to get out of a dangerous situation in the moment, and that's what we kind of want to talk about and have people prepared for. So if you're living in a relationship that could become either physically violent or verbally aggressive at some point over these next couple of weeks or anytime, but specifically these next couple of weeks, there's some things we want you to kind of already have in place so that if you have to get out fast or you need to make yourself safe quickly, you already have a plan in place, you're already ready to do it because there's likely already stressors going on outside of that. So one of the really big ones is we want you to have a plan in place of where you're going to go. That's different for every person. Some people will need to get out of their house. They'll be able to get in their car and drive to a family member's house. But already knowing where that is really important so that you can just react if you're in that situation. Other situations can look really different. It can just be that you need to get out of the dangerous rooms in your home, like stay away from your kitchen. It has a kitchen we know just has more opportunity for violence in it. There are objects, there are items. So moving to lower risk areas just within your home or even to other rooms within your home that are safer, things like that.
According to Coker, if an abuser's victim is to leave, they will sometimes report items or possessions stolen. She stresses victims have necessary paperwork handy and a part of any escape supplies.
Yeah, we of course want to make sure that you have paperwork, important paperwork that you can't get by with for several days. The court system does shut down for Christmas and New Year's and some not necessarily extended time between, but more so than a regular day. So making sure that you have your driver's license, if it's going to be necessary, birth certificates. We know that a lot of times abusers will retaliate by claiming property has been stolen from them or that they have rights to their children and their victim has taken their children. So anything you have in writing that proves you can have the items and the people with you that you do and don't allow him access back to you are incredibly important. Because like I said, there's not always access to the court system at this period of a couple of weeks. So if you've already made it your common practice to have, say, your purse by the door and your abuser is someone who doesn't necessarily go through your things, we encourage you to continue to have that just be your common practice. If it's not already your common practice and you start now, they're going to notice. So anywhere that you believe is safe from your abuser. It can be in your closet, it can be in your vehicle, hidden somewhere in your garage, anywhere that you know those items are safe and you can quickly grab when you're exiting the home or the area or whatever it may be. Every situation there is going to be different because every abuser is different.
During this time of the year, victims and their children may be isolated with their abusers, and Coker says it's important for kids to know they are going to be kept safe. She reminds kids are very receptive and aware of what is going on around them.
Or other big ones are letting your kids know that you are going to keep them safe. Kids know what's going on in homes. It doesn't mean that you need to tell them that you know it's bad, but kids need to know that they're going to be safe. They're about to be home for 2 weeks instead of at school every day, so their life's going to look a little bit different too. Trying to make sure that you prioritize that safety is really important at this time of year. Every situation is different. There are many kids who live in abusive households who do not look forward to breaks from school. They want the opportunity to be away. There are many kids who live in abusive households who don't even know that their households are abusive. So it's not something that they tangibly think about. But ultimately, there is more risk. Anytime kids aren't in school or aren't in other activities, there's of course more risk the more time they're at home. Even if somebody isn't necessarily violent toward them, they're still being exposed to domestic violence in their home, and their brain development is still reactive to what they're experiencing in their home, even if it's not directly related to them. They're witnessing someone in their household be degraded or spoken negatively to, and or physically abused is also an option. There are definitely underlying circumstances taking place for that individual too, as youth.
Coker adds paperwork like orders of protection or other important court documents are also necessary items this time of year as courthouses are closed, and if law enforcement intervention is necessary, victims are going to need those documents to present to them. She directs anyone needing help at any point to contact Willow Tree Missions at 217-631-1018. That is Willow Tree's crisis services line. In cases of emergency, you can also contact Dove at its 24-hour hotline in Piatt County at 217-762-2122. News time is 25 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. We'll have more coming your way next on the WHOW Morning Show.
At Baum Chevrolet Buick, above and beyond is standard practice. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. When you shop for a vehicle, there's nothing standard about it. You simply don't do it every day. That's why our sales staff will ask questions, listen, and help you find the transportation solution that checks all the right boxes. Come see our selection and start your search for a new Chevrolet or Buick today. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time is 25 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. The date has been announced for the 2024 Illinois Farm Bureau Governmental Affairs Leadership Conference. It's set for February 20th at the Bank of Springfield Center, says Ryan Whitehouse, Illinois Farm Bureau Associate Director of Local Government and Political Engagement.
That'll be a full day, similar agenda, starts at 8:30 in the morning, breakout sessions on all the issues and the local, state, and national legislative and environmental priorities will be deep dived. It's for members only, and we have a few keynote speakers that we'll be announcing after the first of the year. The big keynote speaker, I can kind of release one of them today, but the big keynote will release after the first of the year. But members, put it on your calendars, members only, and if they're interested in attending, contact their county farm bureau to get registered for the conference. 15 different workshops. So there'll be 3 general sessions and updates and speakers from across the country. But then we have 15 different workshops that, like you said, will cover all that: regulatory, environmental, livestock, local taxes, federal issues, farm bill, stuff like that. So it really gives an opportunity for members to come in, like you said, Springfield, and pick what their interests are, and in one day kind of become informed on what the issue is and what Illinois Farm Bureau policy is and what Illinois Farm Bureau is doing to try to address that policy on those issues.
You can register through your local county farm bureau as well. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin says Hamas and Israel need to stand down military action near hospitals, and the U.S. needs to make sure any weapons it's supplying to Israel are used in accordance with U.S. international law. Durbin says the suffering in Gaza, though, needs to end.
More children have been reported killed in this conflict than in all major global conflicts combined last year. Hospitals had to try to treat civilians without the most basic medicines, using only Tylenol for pain management, even in amputations, and vinegar as a disinfectant at last resort. There are growing fears that disease outbreaks will soon replace the war as the primary cause of death in Gaza. This is simply not an acceptable strategy.
Durbin called for a two-state agreement to be reached in the region, but says the current leadership on both sides. But he says the current leadership on both sides in the region. Time now for a look at today's obituaries. 74-year-old Ronald Eugene Wickenhauser of Clinton passed away December 13th at his family residence in Clinton. Visitation for 74-year-old Ronald Eugene Wickenhauser will be Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton. Burial will be at a later date at Oak Park Cemetery in Clinton. Memorials can be directed to the Neighborhood Care Center in Clinton. 82-year-old Durrell Allen Thomas of Clinton passed away December 14th at St. John's Hospital in Springfield. Visitation for 82-year-old Durrell Allen Thomas will be this evening from 5 to 7 p.m. at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton. A private family burial will be Friday, December 22nd at Woodlawn Cemetery in Clinton. Memorials can be directed to the Shriners Hospital or Cancer Care Specialists of Decatur. News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Wednesday. Coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Local sports comes your way next on the WHOW Morning Show. It follows a look at network news.
Un-American is how the Trump campaign describes a ruling by Colorado's Supreme Court keeping Mr. Trump off the state's presidential election ballot. The Trump camp vowing to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Illegal immigrants continue pouring across the southern border. 12,600 encountered by Customs and Border Protection on Monday. It's believed to be the highest number in a 24-hour period since record-keeping began more than 60 years ago. An investigation underway into the crash of a Philadelphia TV station's helicopter in a heavily wooded area of southern New Jersey. The pilot and a WPVI news photographer on their way back from an assignment on the Jersey shore were killed in that crash. Stock futures in the red this morning on Wall Street. Dow futures down 65 points. NASDAQ futures off 45 points. More details at srnnews.com.
From director George Clooney.
What's that about making some?
With SRN Sports, I'm Jeremy House. In the NBA, the Golden State Warriors chalk up their biggest win of the season as they came back down from 17 points to beat the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Stephen Curry scored 23 of his game-high 33 points in the second half as the Warriors outlasted the Celtics 132-126 in overtime.
You never really know how it's going to look, and every night's a little different. And, you know, we've lost leads, but the way we dug deep tonight was a big morale booster, and now you got to capitalize off of it.
Golden State came back from a 17-point third-quarter deficit. Klay Thompson added 24 points for the Warriors, who have won 3 straight. Boston has the best record in the East, a perfect 14-0 at home, but only 6-6 on the road. Ryan Leong, San Francisco.
Other winners included Memphis, Milwaukee, and Portland. Top 25 men's college basketball winners included number 20, James Madison. This is SRN Sports. Staying with college basketball, 25th-ranked Mississippi also won last night. Number 23, Memphis stood down number 22, Virginia, while Providence upset number 6, Marquette. In the NHL, the Minnesota Wild rally late for an overtime victory against the Bruins in Boston.
Kirill Kaprizov scored with 2:06 left in overtime, and the Wild rallied past the Bruins 4-3. Kaprizov tied the game 2-2 at 13:12 of the third period.
Sometimes you have a lot of chances and don't score now is like scoring I don't know, best or not best.
Brad Marchand even the score for Boston on a power play with 1:06 left in regulation. David Pasternak scored twice, including with less than a second remaining in the first. Marc-Andre Fleury stopped 40 shots for the Wild, who have won 4 of 5. Gethin Coolbaugh, Boston.
Other winners were Tampa Bay, Columbus, Philadelphia, the New York Rangers, and Carolina. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard Tuesday night right here on WHOW, the Clinton Maroons beat Leroy 73-37 in a non-conference boys basketball game at Clinton High School. The Maroons jumped out to a 9-0 lead before Leroy got on the board. Clinton would extend their lead to 23-6 at the end of the first quarter and never looked back. Leroy did put together a small run in the second quarter, but the Maroons' defense and outside shooting was too much. Clinton led by 20 at the half and were up 28 points after 3. A running clock fourth quarter wrapped up the 36-point victory fairly quickly. Clinton connected on 8 3-pointers on the night. They were led by Mason Walker's 22 points. Dawson Graves had 20, and Brooks Kluver scored 15. Dalton Bell contributed 12 points off the bench after racking up 18 points in the JV game. Bell was the serve pro of Piatt-DeWitt County player of the game. Leroy was led by Sam Edmondson with 14 points, and Jasper Tarr added 11. The Panthers fall to 5-6 with the loss and play next January 2nd at El Paso Gridley. The Maroons move to 11-0 on the season. They are headed to the Monticello Holiday Hoopla next week. They face Ridgeview at 10 a.m. on December 26th. The next Maroons broadcast will be Wednesday, December 27th, when at 3:30 Monticello plays the Clinton plays Monticello in the Holiday Hoopla. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Warrensburg-Latham used stingy defense to hold off Monticello 51-42 in non-conference high school boys basketball action Tuesday night in Warrensburg. The Cardinals forced the Sages into 19 turnovers and turned those into 20 points. The Cardinals led 29-20 at the break and scored 10 of its 13 third-quarter points at the free throw line. Warrensburg-Latham went 16 for 22 at the foul line on Tuesday. A Monticello offense that has struggled during stretches this season was limited to single-digit outputs in 2 quarters, but looked much better Tuesday. Tyler Blythe returned to the Monticello lineup, and while the junior only scored 3 points and grabbed a rebound in 7 minutes, the difference was noticeable as he attacked the basket and created shots underneath. Trey Welter led all scorers with 17 points, including buzzer-beating 3-pointers to end the first and second quarters. The senior dished out 5 assists. Ike Young was a rebound short of a double-double. The junior had 11 points and 9 rebounds with 2 assists and 2 steals. Young was the benefactor of a couple dribble drive opportunities Tuesday night as he had 4 straight points on layups, including a steal and coast-to-coast fast break layup. He was the serve pro of Piatt-DeWitt County's player of the game. The Sages' ability to get to the basket better Tuesday resulted in 16 points in the paint. Warrensburg-Latham shot 44% for the game and were led by Cottrell Lee's 12 points. Braden Hickey added 11. Warrensburg-Latham shot 5 for 12 from beyond the arc as they improved to 10-2 overall. Monticello finished 43% shooting for the game and just 6 of 19 from beyond the arc. The Sages fall to 3-5. It's off to Holiday Hoopla play starting next Tuesday for Monticello. The Sages will play 2 games on Tuesday, with its first game at 11:30 and then at 7:30. Hear all the Hoopla action, by the way, on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. 3 players scored in double figures, and Blue Ridge made easy work of DeLand Weldon 53-19 in non-conference high school boys basketball action from DeLand Tuesday night. Wesley Clark led Blue Ridge with 12 points. Zach Lewis had 11, and Jan Saez added 10 points. DeLand Weldon drops to 0-6 overall. Blue Ridge is 6-4, and the Knights are off until January 9th when they return to Lincoln Prairie Conference action against Villa Grove. After a slow first quarter, Argenta-Oreana exploded in the second quarter, and that propelled the Bombers past Tri-County 62-46 in Lincoln Prairie Conference. Boys basketball action from Argenta Tuesday night. The Bombers trailed 17-7 after one, but outscored Tri-County 26-6 in the second quarter to take control and lead 33-23 going to the intermission. The Bombers gradually pulled away from there. 3 players scored in double figures for Argenta-Oreana. Ethan Mahan led all scorers with 21 points. Jalen Flowers had 15, and Chase Logue scored 14. Tri-County was led by Caden Logans, 12 points. Tri-County drops to 2-9 overall and 0-1 in the Lincoln Prairie. Argenta-Oreana is 7-7 overall and 2-0 in the Lincoln Prairie. The Bombers are off until the 2nd of January when they travel to Central A&M. Tyler Johnson snapped a third-period tie, and Connor Bedard had 2 assists, helping Chicago beat Nathan McKinnon and the Colorado Avalanche 3-2 Tuesday night. Ryan Donato added a goal and an assist for the last-place Blackhawks, which had lost 4 in a row. Lucas Reichel scored, and Peter Mrazek had 35 saves. The game was tied at 2 when Colorado forward Miles Wood was sent off for holding Reichel's stick. On the ensuing power play, Nick Foligno found Johnson right in front of the net for a tap-in goal at 8:19. The Blackhawks, playing without several regulars, then held off the Avalanche as they pushed for the tying score in the final minute. The United Center crowd of 19,719 roared after the final seconds ticked off. Valerie Nikushkin had 2 goals for Colorado, which had won 3 of 4. McKinnon extended his point streak to a career-high 16 games, and Alexander Georgiev had 19 saves. The Avalanche beat the Blackhawks 4-0 in their first meeting of the season back on October 19th. The Avalanche played without defenseman Cale Macker and forward Andrew Cogliano, who stayed home when the team traveled to Chicago. Macker missed his 3rd straight game with a lower body injury, and coach Jared Bedard said Cogliano got dinged up in Saturday's 6-2 win over San Jose. The Blackhawks will host the Montreal Canadiens on Friday night. NHL points leader Nikita Kucherov had 2 goals. Andre Valesky made 28 saves, and the Tampa Bay Lightning beat the St. Louis Blues 6-1 Tuesday night. Michael Esiamont and Tyler Mott, Hayden Fleury, and Nicholas Paul scored for the Lightning, who have won 5 of 12. Steven Stamkos had 3 assists to move past Theo Fleury into 67th place on the career points list with 1,090. Blues goalie Jordan Bennington was pulled in the second period after allowing 5 goals on 23 shots. He had a 5-0 shutout against Tampa Bay in the previous meeting between the two teams back on November 14th. The Blues got a power play goal from Justin Falk with 4:05, ending a 34-game goal drought. The NHL's worst power play for St. Louis went 1 for 3 and has converted 3 chances in 30 tries in the last 11 games. 2 goals have come in the last 2. The Blues will play at Florida on Thursday night. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Mainly sunny skies today with daytime highs approaching 46. Southerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 32. Tonight, cloudy skies. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Highs level off around 47. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Right now, 26.
From the Country Financial Studio, I'm Rita Frazier. This is the RFD Livestock Report. We wrap up a conversation with Robert Miller of Stevenson County, the Dairy Industry Service Award winner for 2023. Robert told us about growing up in Canada, coming to the U.S. with his wife, Kay. A successful dairy and a big change in their life came when they purchased a cow named Roxy, who went on to legendary status in the dairy industry.
I guess the rest of the story pretty much on Roxy is pretty well known. I think she was voted the queen of the breed twice in her lifetime. And the biggest win The International Holstein magazine from the Netherlands held a contest to select the International Cow of the Century in the year 2000. When you think of how many million cows there would be in the country in the 1900s, the 100 years of 1900, and to have Roxy be the International Cow of the Century was quite an award.
What did you see, all of the dairy families that you saw all of those years, what was the common thread in all the dairy families that you dealt with?
Well, they were all good managers, number one. Number two, good promoters. It doesn't do much good to build a better mousetrap if you don't gonna hide it under a bushel basket. You gotta promote.
Tell us about these people who are in this room with us today, because you referenced your wife.
This lady here is responsible for just about everything that's happened to me in my life. A wonderful wife and a hard worker. She milked cows, baled hay, whatever had to be.